Hey everyone, yes, you read that title right, Resin2FDM has an update. Today we have a ton of quality of life improvements and a few new and updated features for the advanced version. So let's take a look. To start us off, as mentioned, we have a bunch of quality of life improvements that will be reflected across both the Lite and advanced versions. First and foremost, the tool has now been packaged so that the single plugin file will work on every version of Blender 4.0 and above, so no need to try and match a specific plugin file to your version of Blender. Now, to get this update up and running, if you have any old versions of Resin2FDM, you're going to want to uninstall them. But once you have gotten rid of the old versions of Resin2FDM, you can go ahead and install the 1.2 update. Now, as always, we press N to bring up the side panel and come down to Resin2FDM Lite, which, as you can see, looks a little bit different. There are less things here at a first glance, and that's done on purpose. Now, as you move through the stages of the Resin2FDM process, the parts of the tool that you need will reveal themselves as they're necessary. Of course, if you do still want to see the full tool at all times, you can come up here to the Advanced Features dropdown and simply enable Show All Features. One of the first improvements that we can see is when clicking Split by Loose Parts, it will now make sure that your model is sitting on the floor. And if you have multiple models imported, it will make sure that they all sit at the same height, so that there's no offset issues or hovering meshes when you're slicing. Once you assign your miniature as usual, we can now see an estimated readout of your support tower thicknesses. This is so that you can better gauge the width of supports across various prints. And this function has overall been updated. Now the value set in the slider is the true thickness that will be added. For example, an added thickness of 0.2mm will add 0.1 all around for a total added thickness of 0.2. Where previously a value of 0.2 would have added 0.2 all around for a total of 0.4mm. So if you do have values dialed in for specific creators' supports, just know that you should double your old thickness values to get the same results. And once you've applied your thicknesses and generated your level cube, we can now see that the export options have also been streamlined. Now when you import a model, it will automatically update the output directory to wherever that model came from. But if you do want to set a custom output folder, you can simply click this icon and select your location. And over on the right hand side, we can now click this button to open up that output folder so that we can easily access the files after exporting them. Down here we can now input a custom name for our model, such as Minotaur, then we can select one of the export options below. Export Miniature will do as it says, exporting the miniature with the name Minotaur-Miniature, and export supports will do the same under Minotaur-supports. Or you can simply click export both to spit out both files in one click. Now if you've already exported files with the given name, and you want to let Blender overwrite previous versions, simply hit this button here and you'll be good to go. Along with these improvements to the UI and streamlining the process, there has also been a ton of backend cleanup, so you should run into less hiccups and errors. A good visible example of this is in the previous versions, if you forgot to clear the scene and left any cameras or lights in here, the tool would throw up various errors at multiple points in the process with no real explanation as to why things weren't working. We now have a pretty visible warning in the tool if the scene still contains lights or cameras, prompting you to clear the scene before continuing. And another great example of the cleanup that's been done is that every step made by the Resin2FDM tool can be undone with Ctrl-Z, where in previous versions certain steps couldn't be. But with the quality of life improvements for Resin2FDM Lite out of the way, let's talk new and updated features for Resin2FDM Advanced, which as always is available at any tier of support over on the Painted for Combat Patreon. So for as little as $2 you can help to support the channel and get the advanced version of this tool. The main reason for locking some of the tool's features behind Patreon is that most of them are still slightly experimental, and certainly not as foolproof as the Lite version. Meaning that using these parts of the tool might leave you with questions, feedback, or suggestions that aren't easy for me to address in a YouTube comment, but are much easier for me to engage with over on the Patreon Discord, where you can get in touch with myself or other users of the tool directly. First up, much like the Lite version, the tool will be broken down into the step-by-step linear process, which of course can still be disabled by ticking Show All Features in the advanced options. And it's here that we can see our first additional feature, a checkbox to enable the support detection in Resin2FDM Advanced. This feature aims to give us thickness controls for support tips separate from the main support towers themselves, allowing you to thicken up the towers way more for stable printing, but still maintain a subtle connection to the model. This feature was available in the previous version of the tool, but has had a major overhaul in this update. Firstly, on the back end of this feature there has been major improvements overall, But on the more visible side, we can now see that we have options to select either spherical or conical support tips. So no matter what style of supports you're working with, you should be able to make the most of this feature. Hitting detect, we can see that this feature has been vastly improved, missing far less of our support tips and highlighting far less incorrect elements, meaning that you should have a much easier time setting up the support tips. In addition, this thickness slider also now has the same estimated thickness readout as the towers, and with the same changes to the added thickness. And as mentioned before, if you don't want to use this part of the tool for any given model and want to hide all of these extra buttons and sliders that you're not using, simply unchecking Enable Tip Detection will remove all of that extra clutter. Now moving on to our newest feature in Resin2FDM Advanced, the Repair, Model and Supports option. This feature aims to fix up your miniature and supports, much like other Make Manifold tools, to eliminate any unwanted holes in your meshes, and to tidy up any loose or damaged geometry, so that we don't have missing parts or damaged meshes when slicing. As mentioned, this is a new feature, so there may be circumstances where it doesn't catch everything, but in the time that I have been playing around with it, it has helped immensely to clean up messy supports and damaged models in only a few extra seconds. So there we have it, Resin2FDM's first major update. An all-around improvement to the reliability and feel of the tool, a streamlined process and improved functionality with a few new features in the file exporting, step-by-step mode and mesh repair, as well as updates and improvements to the existing features. And to quickly run through it again, Resin2FDM Lite, which contains everything except tip detection and mesh repair, is available for free over on Gumroad, links below, and works with every version of Blender 4.0 and above. And as for Resin2FDM Advanced, that is available to any tier of support over on the Painted for Combat Patreon. And speaking of which, if you're already headed over to the Patreon, why not consider checking out the higher tiers? Yes, for just $2 you can get access to Resin2FDM Advanced, my printer profile downloads, and the Patreon exclusive Discord, but at the higher tiers you can also get access to some amazing printable STLs, much like this month's release of sculpted FDM-ready bases, the Sunken Sewers. These are perfect for your rat folk armies, sewer-dwelling oozes, or lingering undead, all sculpted to print completely support-free on FDM printers, and wherever possible they have been designed with flat top layers to eliminate unsightly layer lines. On top of that, you also get access to the Welcome Bundle containing more printable goodies, such as the painting handles I use in almost every miniatures video. So whether you are just looking to pick up Resin2FDM Advanced, jump in the Discord and help support the channel, or you're looking to pick up those printable goodies, head on over to the Painted for Combat Patreon, links below. As always, a huge thank you to all of my Patreon members, and a special shout out to the Painted for Display tier supporters. As I always say, it is thanks to everyone's generosity over there that I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing here and making these videos. So truly, thank you. I truly hope that this update for Resin2FDM helps you print even more amazing miniatures on your FDM printer, so that you can bring some great looking models to the table. Thank you so much for watching, for all of your support, and for enjoying this hobby as much as I do. As always, have a good one.